Ukrainian army launched a record number of drone attacks on Russian arms factories and airports over the past 72 hours, Kyiv Post reported on Friday. Ukraine's air raid marked the largest-scale drone attack on Russia since the start of the full-fledged invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Some of these drones transited more than 800 kilometers of Russian airspace. Overall, more than 750 explosive-carrying unmanned aerial vehicles, known as UAVs, were launched from Ukraine-controlled territory to strike targets across western Russia during this period. According to independent Astra news agency, 756 Ukrainian drones penetrated Russian airspace between May 20 to May 23, prompting disruption of airline operations in Vladimir, Kaluga, Kostroma, Tambov, Yaroslavl, Ivanovo, Samara and Nizhny Novgorod, as well at Moscow's Vnukovo, Domodedovo, Sheremetyevo and Zhukovsky airports, restricting air travel southwest and central Russia. In addition, mobile internet shut down in cities of Tula, Lipetsk, Voronezh, Vladimir, Oryol and Ivanovo regions. Ukraine's latest air raid campaign was more reaching, more complex and more ambitious compared to previous attacks. The drone attack on Russia in the past 3 days amounts to around a 23% increase in intensity compared with Russia's May 18 to 20 surge. It should be noted that on Sunday, Russia launched 273 drones against Ukraine, while 112 more drones were launched on Monday, and 118 the next day. Earlier, on Monday, Ukraine's State Security Service, the SBU, attacked an abandoned drilling rig in the Azov Sea manned by Russian security and air defense troops. Late on Monday and early Tuesday, between 180 and 200 drones flew eastward in one of the most massive single-night drone strikes attempted by Ukraine, according to Russian Defense Ministry. Russia's defense minister claimed it had shot down a total 127 Ukrainian drones over Russia's Bryansk, Oryol, Kursk, Moscow, Vladimir, Ryazan, Belgorod, Tula and Kaluga regions, and over the Black Sea.
Now, to improve the situation on the front line, it is important to resume attempts to destroy Russian oil refineries and not to attack Moscow, where significant air defense forces have been concentrated. This was stated by military expert, Reserve Colonel of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Roman Svitan, on air on Radio NV. According to him, the Russians have a certain number of anti-aircraft missile systems which were previously dispersed throughout Russia to protect oil refineries, military facilities and the like. In the last months, after Bankovaya assured the Russians that they would not hit the refinery, the Russians have concentrated all their air defense on Moscow and the Kursk bridge. Almost all Russian air defense systems are now in the Moscow area and in the Kursk bridge area. We have stopped hitting the refinery, turned to Moscow and are running into a wall of Russian air defense, Svitan noted. He believes that Ukrainian drones are being destroyed in this way. According to him, the optimal option for attacks on Moscow should be the launch of ballistics. Now drones should not be sent to Moscow. They should have been sent to Moscow last year, when there was no air defense there. And now drones should be sent to the oil refinery because there are no anti-aircraft missile systems there. You can go through and burn them, and now it turns out that we are sending drones to the air defense wall, which simply destroys these drones, Svitan emphasized. He believes that this is the wrong approach and needs to be changed. We need to resume attacks on oil refineries. If there is no production of gasoline, diesel and aviation kerosene, neither diesel, locomotives nor tanks will move, nor will aircraft fly. In his opinion, it is necessary to force the Russians to disperse their air defense so that they open up Moscow, and therefore it is necessary to strike at Russian facilities in the rear, including destroying the coal mining industry. Also, as Svitan added, it is important to strike at the production sites of Russian weapons to destroy military facilities so that Russian weapons do not reach the front. It is equally important, according to the expert, to destroy army warehouses in the Russian rear, where shells are transported after production. We need to get to the Ural factories that produce ammunition and equipment, and that's 2,000 kilometers away, Svitan added. He noted that over the past 6 months, 4 to 5 large Russian arsenals had been destroyed, and this had affected the situation at the front. The Russian spring offensives had practically led to nothing. As of May the 9th, they had achieved nothing. Russian Z military correspondents and propaganda outlets claimed their forces crossed from Donetsk into Dnipropetrovsk region near Novomai-Kolayivka, posting a photo of Russian soldiers beside a pickup truck entangled in barbed wire as evidence, according to Euromaidan press media outlet. Ukrainian Deep State Analytical Project, reportedly linked to Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, refuted this claim. According to Deep State, the photo was actually taken near Troitsky, where Ukrainian soldiers' vehicle became entangled in barbed wire overnight. Russian troops allegedly discovered the vehicle in the morning, took photos with it, and were later eliminated by Ukrainian forces. The pickup belonged to Ukrainian troops who got stuck in the wire overnight. By morning, Russian soldiers reached the site, took pictures, and were subsequently neutralized. Deep State reported on Telegram. Serhiy Lysak, head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Administration, also rejected Russia's claim as fabricated. It's a fake, both the so-called news and the photo supposedly proving it, Lysak wrote on Telegram. They don't reflect reality and were deliberately published by the enemy to frighten our residents, sow panic and destabilize the situation. Dnipropetrovsk Oblast has not seen active combat to date. However, since early April, Russian forces have advanced westward from Pokrovsk in Donetsk Oblast. The most intense fighting is around Udachne, where Ukrainian forces are holding firm. Russia has made limited gains between Uspenivka and Novoaleksandrivka, and between Nadiivka and Zaporizhia. Kotlyarivka remains contested, or under partial Russian control, just 3 kilometers from the Dnipropetrovsk border. While Donetsk Oblast has been the epicenter of Russia's aggression against Ukraine since 2014, with significant escalation after the full-scale invasion in 2022, Russian forces have not yet entered the neighboring Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Moscow nevertheless regularly targets Dnipropetrovsk Oblast with drones, missiles and aerial bombs, inflicting heavy civilian casualties. Russia's advance in Ukraine has not relented despite the US efforts to broker a peace deal and Kiev's calls for an unconditional ceasefire over the past months. After a phone call with US President Donald Trump on May the 19th, Russian President Vladimir Putin rejected once again a full ceasefire in Ukraine.